Following the assassination and death of General Murtala Mohammed on February 13, 1976, General Olusegun Obasanjo, who was his deputy, assumed office as the fourth military head of state of Nigeria. Interestingly, Obasanjo would hand over power to a democratically elected civilian administration in President Shehu Shagari on October 1, 1979. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was the first Nigerian to have served the country as both a military head of state and an elected civilian president. Obasanjo first gained prominence for being the officer who accepted the surrender of Biafran forces after the Civil War, which lasted from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970. As a retired general, Olusegun Obasanjo strongly criticized human rights abuses committed during General Sani Abacha's regime, and the latter jailed him in 1995. However, Obasanjo was released after Abacha's death, contested elections, and in 1999 became Nigeria's first civilian president in 16 years. He was re-elected for a second term in 2003. Obasanjo became Nigeria's democratically elected president, winning on the platform of the People's Democratic Party with his vice, Atiku Abubakar. He was sworn in as president on May 29, 1999. The day was named Democracy Day and was celebrated as a public holiday to signify a new beginning for the nation until 2019, when President Muhammadu Buhari reversed Democracy Day to June 12 of every year. Buhari did this in honor of MKO Abiola, who had allegedly won the country's presidential election on June 12, 1993. Before he assumed office as the president and commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo had spent 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days in prison. Obasanjo had been loudly vocal, speaking against General Sani Abacha's human rights abuses, and the former had him arrested on March 13, 1995 in his home on charges on a coup plot against the government. The former head of state was arrested alongside 29 others and sentenced to 30 years imprisonment. Fortunately for Obasanjo, General Abacha died on June 8, 1998, and he was released on June 15, 1998. Obasanjo later revealed that his prison experience was a good school which gave him leadership training and prepared him for high political office. He said it gave him the opportunity to read, pray, and think. This positioned him to be in a good state of mind when he became Nigeria's president. Working with his campaign slogan of "He did it before and he will do it again," the new president of the Fourth Republic of Nigeria got to work. Olusegun Obasanjo secured $18 billion in debt relief and reduced the country's overall Paris Club debt of $30 billion, paying off a balance of $12.4 billion to creditors over a 6-month period. This was a fulfillment of one of his promises made during his inaugural speech when he was first sworn in as president. Obasanjo had stated that one of his priorities was to reduce the country's internal and external debts. In line with his goal, the Debt Management Office (DMO) was established in 2000 to maintain a reliable database of loans accrued to the nation and implement a plan to effectively manage external and domestic loan obligations to facilitate economic growth and development. Consequently, President Olusegun Obasanjo established the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC), the Budget Monitoring and Price Intelligence Unit, the Due Process Office, and the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NETI, to fight corruption. His administration equally adopted an economic reform program called the National Economic Empowerment and Development Strategy, NEEDS, at the federal level, and State Economic Empowerment Development Strategy, SEEDS, at the state level, with high hopes that the international community would support the nation's efforts to reduce her debt. All of these and more culminated in the country finally securing a debt deal that ushered her exit from the Paris Club as Africa's largest debtor. Although he was heavily criticized as his actions were seen as one who pursued international glory, Obasanjo was undaunted and paid no heed to naysayers. Obasanjo's administration carried out extensive socio-economic and political programs. The provisions embedded in the 1999 Constitution, which was enacted on May 29, 1999, enabled his administration to ensure that inherent structural and institutional defects in Nigeria's federalism are corrected. Federal character principle, concept of zoning, and power sharing were aptly put to work. Major political positions within the Federation were allotted to qualified individuals within the 6 geopolitical zones. This led to the formation of the National Political Reform Conference (NPRC) in 2005, and a consensus was reached on the devolution of power to federating units, resource control, and recognition of ethnic nationalities that had otherwise been overlooked. Obasanjo upgraded telecommunication in the country as a needs initiative under its economic and empowerment agenda, increased the telephone base in the nation from below 1 million in 1999 to over 38 million in 2007. Needs also reformed the banking sector by carrying out a consolidation exercise in 2005. 89 banks were merged into 25, with each of the banks having a minimum capital base of 25 billion naira. The anti-corruption agencies EFCC and the ICPC played crucial roles during Obasanjo's administration, tackling financial corruption and prosecuting offenders, irrespective of their position. Although the EFCC was accused of being a tool of the Obasanjo's administration to witch hunt his political opponents, the agency succeeded in unearthing so many financial discrepancies. Over 5 billion naira of stolen funds were returned to the nation's treasury, and 80 individuals were prosecuted for corruption charges by 2006. These feats achieved by the EFCC also led the United States to remove the country from its money laundering watch list in May 2007. Despite the highs of his time in office, there are also some lows, especially in the area of religious tensions. One of them was the controversial introduction of Sharia, which is an Islamic law code by the then governor of Zamfara State, Ahmed Yerima. Other northern states followed suit, and this made Christians wary of living in places where Sharia was used in governance. In fact, after Agbani Darego won Miss World Beauty Pageant in 2001, Nigeria was supposed to host the next edition in 2002. But with Sharia law in place, the venue for the event was moved from Abuja to London in order to douse religious tensions. Another low point of Obasanjo's administration was his inability to nip in the bud ethnic tensions across the country. The Movement for the Sovereign State of Biafra, MASOB, was founded in the southeast by Ralph Nwazurike in 1999, campaigning for the reassertion of the state of Biafra. The Oodua People's Congress, OPC, in the southwestern part of Nigeria was in constant contention with the administration, arguing that government policies were not in favor of the Yoruba people. The OPC also contended with Obasanjo for his administration's refusal to recognize the purported winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential elections, MKO Abiola, and immortalized the late businessman and philanthropist. The Niger Delta was not left out, as the fight for resource control and seeking an end to the pollution of their lands turned violent between the Ogonis and other ethnic minorities. Several militias were formed, the major one being the Movement for the Emancipation of Niger Delta, MEND. The men were heavily armed and terrorized the region, kidnapping foreign oil workers and destroying oil installations. MEND's violent activities brought about a reduction in oil production, which in turn affected Nigeria's revenue. In response, the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) was established in June 2000 to see to the socio-economic needs of the people of the Niger Delta. Infrastructures were built and investments were encouraged in the region. The NDDC also tackled the problem of youth restiveness, which was threatening the oil-producing region, as the youth were coming together to form militia groups to fight the multinational oil corporations in the region, thereby affecting the activities of oil extraction and exportation. The Joint Task Force (JTF), a special military unit, was birthed to flush out such militants from the region. One of the deepest lows of the Obasanjo administration was the Odi Massacre on November 20, 1999. Odi, a densely populated town in Bayelsa State, was razed down by Nigerian soldiers. The death toll was put at about 2,500 people, including the king of the town, as rounds of shells were rained on the populace and houses were bombed by fighter jets. Obasanjo was criticized for ordering the invasion, but he defended his actions by saying that 4 policemen on legitimate security duties were killed, and 5 soldiers who had been sent to investigate the killings were equally killed. Nearing the end of Obasanjo's second term in office, there arose wild speculations that the president was brewing a tenure elongation plot, which was to be done through amendment of the constitution. Members of Obasanjo's self-appointed political conference group were rumored to be at the helm of the plot, which, if achieved, would allow the president to rule for one more term, even after he had ruled for the constitutionally allowed 2 terms. Political maneuverings began in late 2005 when Obasanjo sought to alter the provisions of the 1999 constitution that placed a 2-term limit on the presidency. As soon as the plan came to light, several political opposition parties, senators, and House of Reps members condemned the move. Even Atiku Abubakar, his vice, strongly opposed him. The motion for the amendment of the 1999 Constitution was rejected at the Senate on May 19, 2006, bringing an end to Obasanjo's dream of a 3rd term in power. The elections of 2007 were held with Obasanjo supporting the PDP presidential candidate Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to victory. On May 29, 2007, Yar'Adua was duly sworn in as the 2nd civilian president of the 4th Republic, with Goodluck Jonathan as his vice. You can know more about the Yar'Adua presidency in our next episode.